All right, welcome to the Unnamed Cybersecurity Podcast. I'm Chris. Carl and Matt are with me today. Bob is MIA. He sent me a text message saying that he's alive, he's safe, but he had another commitment he had to go through. So
it's AI. Bob's been taken over by AI.
I just got a text saying, please send money.
Did you get a QR code too?
A QR code, yeah, exactly. Please send money.
So we've had an interesting couple weeks. Matt and I and actually Bob was with us. We just came back from a cybersecurity conference. So I've been to back, so I'm a little tired. I'm dealing with some allergies. So if I cough on this, I apologize. If I'm sniffling, I apologize. I'm getting better, but we'll see how this goes.
That's really his way of saying deal with it. He doesn't care. He's too tired.
Let's start off with Carl. Carl has some positivity. Carl's zooming in on himself. All right, let's go.
Yeah, I'm just working it out here, baby. Bob's in the room. He's working the camera.
I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one. So
he's done. We're using a little technology.
I'm on mobile. Let me zoom in.
Ooh, I like that one.
This went off the rails real quick. Okay, Carl.
Okay, guys.
Talk about what you.
Let's talk about something being done correctly. My wife texts me on Monday morning in a panic, going, "Oh my gosh, I just got this notification from the school." And what happened was a couple of seniors in the school had, the schools now issue email accounts. And so their emails got phished, and they sent out an email basically saying, "Hey, we got a new program. If you sign up with us, you get Beats headsets," or something along those lines. And they filled out one person actually filled out their bank account information. Now, what I want to commend the school for is when they noticed that the hack had happened, they proceeded to notify all the parents. They sent out the proper requests to say, "Hey, you need to change your if your passwords are there. If you're not turning on MFA," and for those of you, again, quick service announcement, MFA means when you log into your computer, you either have an app that you open up that provides a number, or you get text a number so that it's not just your username and password, but you have to verify a third way. And so they said, make sure that that's on there, check your charges, just monitor right now, which was very prudent. You should be doing this automatically anyway. But they were just covering, their crossing their T's, dotting their I's. And that's what good notification looks like. Now, you really want to go above and beyond what you think is, okay, it was this, first of all, it was one student where the breach happened. They went ahead and put the wrong stuff in. But they said, let's treat it like everybody is a potential victim here. And, my kids, it was in the high school. My kids are not in high school yet. And they went ahead and they sent out to everybody, every kid who has an email. Because as soon as our school district issues Chromebooks, and so as soon as first grade, every kid's getting an email address and a Chromebook. So I just, again, this is the type of stuff you want to have, not just policy, but you want to have execution of the policies. And I'm sure the legal team, everybody else had done everything to react as quickly as they did.
It's nice to see when the plan actually goes into effect and actually into action. Like that's you could tell that Dell had a communication plan as well, because they had a breach of a system that showed like no payment information, but service tags, names, emails. I got that alert too, because why not? But they sent it out like the day after the news broke and talked about it. But you could tell that they had a good communication plan internally, and that the lawyers, they'd already talked to lawyers and they already had that worked out. So it's always nice when people have a plan to actually execute on it. Not great that they got breached. We don't know the full extent of that breach, but that's pretty good for a school though, because schools are getting hit hard lately.
Oh yeah, no, they are. But it's even good. But that's the whole thing. Imagine if Dell or the school didn't have the plan. You say, okay, it stopped with one bad email, with one thing, which is much easier to correct than it is if it starts to spread around, a couple thousand students. It can,
and they're all falling for it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Or hey, we all want those free Beats headsets. Yeah.
Or like Sunday when I get an email from or like Sunday when I got an email from the system account for process plan. I already made a video about this, but they sent out from their internal system a phishing email with a Bitcoin wallet saying, "Hey, we have." Basically, somebody sending out the typical. You've allowed ransomware on your device. We have all these pictures of you and videos of you doing things that you wouldn't want your family and people to see. You have 48 hours to send me money to this Bitcoin wallet. It's a scam. I haven't had one of these on my business email in a long time, but it came from their system account on a Sunday, and they never said. I tried to contact them. I couldn't get a hold of them. I was like,
wow.
You guys. So, and I don't say anything on their website. So I don't know how many people they sent to. I've never done business with them, so it must have been like a marketing list or something, some internal list I got on. So that was good times. Good times.
And they didn't acknowledge it really then.
No. So I'm like, all right, I'll make a video of it, and maybe they'll see it, but whatever. But how many people sent money? That actually, I should go look. I should have looked up the wallet.
I was going to say, can we look at the wallet?
Maybe.
I'm on mobile. I'm limited right now. I'm afraid to touch my phone. You guys will lose me. Who can deal with that?
We're all afraid of touching your phone, man.
I know. You should be.
We'll see if I can. I don't know if I still have the email. I got pulled out of my account.
If not, we can look another time. So that was cool.
Yeah.
They're public.
Yeah. That's one thing that people don't understand about crypto sometimes is things are public. So you may not know who owns the wallet, but you can see what was sent to it. Yeah, I got pulled out of my account eventually, so it must have been reported enough.
Good.
I will go look. I still have an image of the email. I just got to extract the Bitcoin wallet from there. So I'll go ahead and do that.
I hope it's zero, but there's a good chance that
it's not zero, dude.
I know it's not zero. I often look them up when I get those phishing emails just because I like to know, well, how many people really fell for this? And sometimes it's, a little bit, and sometimes there's like 30 Bitcoin, and then you're like, oh my God, that's a lot of people.
I'm trying to find, I will work on that. And we'll go from there. So I think another thing to talk about, Matt, you and I were at another cybersecurity conference, and it talked a lot about compliance. And I know that's a tough word for people sometimes, is compliance, because people don't want to be told what to do. But there is a reason why compliance is becoming such a big thing. We see all these cyber attacks, and we know that we understand that we need to follow a set of standards, a set of frameworks, and that's going to make our businesses safer, and it's going to make us safer for our customers. So what would you like to add? What would you like to add to that? What did you learn? What did you glean from the conference?
Well, I like to simplify the, you're right. Compliance is a big, scary word. And people don't like it, tend to run away from it, and kind of want to force their way through it and check the boxes. And say, yeah, we have this, yeah, we have that. Sometimes even pay for these things to be compliant without actually following the process. And what it comes down to is there's a lot of companies paying for a lot of tools or checking a lot of boxes without understanding them to say, okay, government, we're compliant, or okay, regulatory authority, we're compliant now. But they might say, sure, we're using two-factor authentication, but they're not. They might even be paying for the tool, but they're not using it for all employees. And that's how things like that systems email that you mentioned, might get a bad actor in it. But where it heads really south is if you have cybersecurity insurance or other loss of business insurance, and you're lying on forms like that, the odds of getting a claim paid out are, again, not an insurance agent, but let's just say low.
Yeah.
Pretty low.
There was a case in Illinois last year with Travelers Insurance, where it was control systems bought a policy in April, made a claim for like a couple $1 million in May, had signed off that sheet saying that they had two-factor authentication, and they went back to look at everything. They said, no, you didn't have it on the servers. They dropped them, and they didn't pay the claim. The other company took them to court because a couple $1 million was worth taking somebody to court. Got thrown out of court so fast it can make your head spin. And so,
yeah, I mean, it's you can't lie on those applications and expect for them to function. But it really comes down to having someone that understands compliance in your business. Doesn't have to be a full-time person. This could be outsourced to a trusted company. I mean, that's basically what we do with a lot of companies. Yes, pumping ourselves up there. But someone needs to understand it.
Shameless promotion for all of us. We all do that.
Shameless promotion for all of us, but we do what we do for a reason, and it's a very important
Absolutely.
reason.
Very important. Critical.
You know, I wonder, I think people have been told so long that they can just buy a tool and that'll solve all their problems. You know what I mean? Like for a long time, people were told buy antivirus. Okay, whatever. Now buy some services for phishing. What none of those tools do is if you have bad hygiene, and I'll give you an example. If you give people access to data they shouldn't have access to, it could be detrimental to your business, and somebody can authenticate as that user, it doesn't matter what tools you have in place. If they can authenticate, if they can get in and authenticate as that user, and they can get access to that data, that doesn't matter. And that's more of a policy. That's policies and procedures in your business. It's not necessarily about the tool. Another example would be if you have an insecure configuration, maybe they can bypass whatever tools you put on the device. So it doesn't matter.
So, basics are still required.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, putting it in the way that a layperson can understand it, you know, you could buy a parachute. I've never been in the parachute market, but I'm sure they range in price. But the most important part of that parachute, besides being trained on how to operate it, is also making sure whoever packs it for you knows how to inspect it correctly and to put it, you know, and to fold it up and put it into the to pack it before you get on that plane or before you jump out that door. And that's sort of like what compliance and tools are. If you don't have somebody configuring it correctly, when you have to use it, you know, you can have a very bad day.
Boom. So you're saying you don't want to jump out an airplane with a parachute that might not function?
I don't
feel like there's not much coming back from that splat.
You don't want to, you know what? You can get somebody for $5 who can pack that parachute, and the results are going to be, you know, can be kind of. I'd rather get the expert who knows how to pack that parachute. Is what I'm saying.
Fair point.
Or that there's actually a parachute in it.
Well, the expert should be able to validate that there's I'm relying on somebody else besides me. I'm going to need a guy.
Wait, you said a very important thing there. You're trusting them.
Exactly.
But validating.
So you're validating. Yeah, you're getting somebody who's there, who knows, who's been through that before and can guide you through that.
Yeah. And that I think that's the big thing here is you need to find somebody that you can trust to help you with the strategy, to help you move your business forward, and help you identify the risks that you have and help you manage it.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
More than fair to say.
Yeah, but backing up to basics, you can't just buy the tool. That's really what it comes down to, or check the box. Yeah.
I think the thing that I think. By the way, that Bitcoin wallet has received almost $6,400.
Makes me sad.
Yeah. So $6,400 has been at least sent to that was sent out. So they and a lot of these transactions, the last transaction was 4 days ago. So they got some people to send Bitcoin. So whoops. But let's flip back to that. So you need somebody to trust you. You want to build a program for your business, right? You want to manage the risk. And this is part of what Matt and I went through. It's like how do we help people build better programs? And one of the things that we can identify is you have to start someplace. So let's talk about a house, right? Do you just go build a house without an architectural plan? I mean, if you can, good for you. I mean, I know that people used to do that, but you don't do that anymore, right? My
kids will build a fort like that. It's not going to last long. I think that's the point you're trying to make. Yeah.
Right. So,
what are you building it out of?
So, but typically you go on architectural plan, right? Let's say you're going to build a traditional house with wood and like either a block, but it could be blocks or it could be poured, whatever. Yeah. A foundation. So you want to have an architectural plan that says, okay, in the event that maybe we have high winds, that we think that this is going to stand up. So now you have a structural engineer get involved, right? So you're trusting a lot of people to kind of help you plan for this house. So the house goes to an architect, they draw it up. I'm sure they have a structural engineer talk about like what it's going to take for the materials that need to go into this to make sure that it's right. Same thing applies to a program. We need to have a strategy, a plan, and then we have to validate that all of the stuff that we're putting into it is working. Because what if somebody builds a house and they use the wrong materials?
Whereas somebody would have caught that. Is what you're getting at, right?
Yeah. So what happens if you didn't properly plan for the load on the roof, and you didn't use materials that can uphold that roof? What could happen? The roof could collapse at some point. Nobody wants that. That's why there's building codes. That's why there's structural engineers involved. So, to that point, we build a program. So we have a design. We need to put a foundation in, so that the house is on a good foundation. So your program's on a good foundation, and we build up from there. And you have to make sure that you're testing along the way. So for us, it's all about building the program and making sure that you're picking the right strategy, picking the right standards or frameworks to go into it, so that you're picking the right materials for your business, and then executing on it, and then testing it along the way. I wish we tested houses more often, though. Probably, because
the Midwest has had some weather that's definitely been testing them more than was attended recently.
But
that depends on a lot of things.
And also getting back to your point with an architect, somebody who's going to guide you through, because they're going to look at that whole plan and say, well, you don't need to what's the point of spending 5 times the amount on a storm window if you haven't fixed X, Y, and Z? Let's build it out correctly, because that window might be the only thing that survives that piece. But that's what a lot of people do in business.
Even though it was mounted in cardboard box.
In the cardboard box, but the box, and what I'm getting back to is, you could buy a good tool, but if it's not coordinated and integrated with all the other tools, it's a waste.
Well, and as you build a house too, you want to hire people that actually know what they're doing, because the worst thing you could do is have somebody that's a terrible electrician come in and wire the house, right? Because now you're putting other risks in the house.
Then your roof falling turns into the roof is on fire. I'm a product of the 80s and 90s, so
me too. I actually met a roofer in a business development class, or no, a contractor who hired a roofer and burnt the whole house down because they were putting copper tiles on, and they didn't.
But did the roof survive?
The copper tile survived perfectly.
So we have a plan. We have an architectural plan for the house. We know the structural engineers looked at it. We know the building codes are going to be upheld. If we didn't have any of that, and this is a lot of how people do IT. My point is, this is how people do IT. They go hire an IT company who doesn't talk to them about standards, who doesn't talk to them about like what the actual risks are in the business. They throw a bunch of tools in there, and then they're never tested.
In those cases, those IT companies are just looking to see how cheap they can be, and they commoditize, because they don't even know what they're just like, but they don't know the products or the whole structure. Yeah. So they'll go, I went to a trade show, and I heard from XYZ company that I can now be cybersecurity if I sell their tool at XYZ, and that doesn't make it.
And this is kind of the point. An IT company that just does IT should do a really good job at IT. They can fix your printer, they can fix your computers, they can install software, they can do that. But they probably aren't going to be good at compliance. They're probably not going to be good at actual cybersecurity. They might have tools for it. And you can equate this to like a tradesperson that's going to come into your house. Are you going to hire an electrician to plumb your house? I hope not.
The electrifying experience.
Yeah, or vice versa. Are you going to hire a plumber who has very little
run electric?
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're bringing in experts that know what they're doing. And this is not to slam on any other IT companies. There's a lot of companies out there that offer IT that do a really good job of the IT. But cybersecurity isn't IT. Cybersecurity is business strategy and business risk. It's not just tech. And we have to understand that, and people just have to understand that that's how it is. It's not tech. So you might have really good IT, and none of us are going to say that that's bad, but you have to look at the rest of the business.
Mhm.
It's like, and if you want to go take a business sense, it's like hiring somebody who's a salesperson to do marketing that's never done marketing before. Or vice versa. Hiring a market person to do sales and they never had sales training before. They're not going to be good at their job. They're not going to be able to excel at their job because they just don't have the skill set to do it. And it takes time to develop that skill set. So when you go out there and you look at your business, it's like, okay, here's a simple plan for anybody listening. If you have IT and you don't, and they say they have cybersecurity, say great. Let's have a third party test it.
Yeah.
Let's do a third party test.
Absolutely. Verify.
And then, and then you're going to find gaps.
Now that you're mentioning that, all three of us get tested by a third party as well. We might trust our own processes and procedures.
Our businesses hold on. Our businesses get tested by a third party. You made it sound like
shocking?
No, you made it sound like each individual of us gets a. That's a different kind of test.
No. You went to a strange place, Chris.
Conversations this week, right? So what he means is all of our businesses, we have a third party that looks at like what we're doing, because we all believe that there's a reason that there should be validation for programs. For cybersecurity, there should be validation by somebody outside of your company. Even a cybersecurity company should have outside validation that what they're doing is working.
Absolutely.
And so what we're saying is, if you have IT, that's great. Just have a third party test it.
Yep.
Bring in a company that can help you test it. That's not to say they have to replace your IT. Maybe you want that. Maybe you don't. But they can offer a different skill set to you.
They offer you a different skill set, and sometimes it's like getting a second opinion.
Yeah.
How do you know? And I don't know about you, but I find that a lot of people, when we talk about IT, they really don't understand what we're talking about, because a lot of stuff is not physical. And so when you get a third party in, what they should be doing, which is what we offer, I know all three of us offer to the people who engage us, is we'll go through and we'll start to look at their people, their processes, their tools, and their plans of what they're doing, and be able to push that, look at that and give them, see where their weaknesses and their deficits are. And sometimes, every once in a while, a company will engage us. Sometimes they'll take those plans back and they'll bring it back to their original in-house. And either one is a better place to be in for the person than not to have anything at all.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I can't say much better. Also, have a third party look at your cyber insurance with your agent.
Absolutely. Have a second. Yeah.
If you're
security, because we believe in validation on everything that can blow up your business.
I have a prospect meeting next week, and I got filled in a little bit this, and this is super cool. This is not good that the person doesn't have. I don't think the person has cyber insurance, but the reason they don't is because they read the actual form, and he's like, and the person was like, I don't have any of this, so why would I even try to get it? Valid point. You're wasting your money.
Yeah.
If you're not doing what they're asking you to do on the cyber insurance form, and you have to say, and you're I don't want to say lying, but you're essentially lying or saying or speaking mistruths, the premium that you're putting towards it is just a waste of money. Because if you have an incident, they're not going to pay out anyway. So the point of all this is just have a third party test your stuff. Talk to somebody that's more talking about cybersecurity and the risk in the business, the strategy that the business needs, and less about the tools that are just going into it. Anybody has tools. Anybody can walk off the street and buy IT tools. Anybody. But the people that are going to excel with you are the people that can take those tools and apply business strategy to them and help you choose the right way to do business, the right way to reduce the risk in your business. And I completely forgot to talk about the North Korea story. So let's let
go for it if you want to. Or do you want to save it for a whole week?
Next week we'll talk about there's a little bit of a problem. I'll give you a little teaser. A U.S. national was helping North Korean IT workers look like they were working inside the United States, and they infiltrated more than 300 companies.
Whoops.
So there's a nice little DOJ investigation and stuff like that. We'll talk more about that next week. But we
It's gonna be a good
appreciate you. Oh, it's gonna be good. I'll probably be angry at that point. I'll probably be a little bit more energy because I'm getting more sleep, but from the allergy part.
We all love angry Chris.
Any party thoughts? You guys have any party thoughts? All right. Hopefully next week we have Bob. We'll find him. We'll get him on here. Either that or it'll be deep fake Bob. So either way, we'll have a version of Bob on here. And stay cyber safe, everybody.
Okay. Take care.
See you next week.